Assalamu alaikum, my all dear viewers. In this third part of the video joint, we'll learn about the synovial joint. In the previous two parts, we have covered the free, immovable joint and slightly movable joint. So over here, we are going to talk about the synovial joint that are freely movable joint. According to the type of movement, they are also called as diarthrosis joint. Okay, so why it is called synovial joint? Due to the presence of the cavity that is called as the joint cavity, and this cavity has a liquid or has a fluid-like part. This part is called as the synovial joint, and due to the gel-like or this liquid-like portion, liquid-like structure, synovial, so such movements, such joints show, you can say, enormous variety of movement. They are freely movable joint due to the presence of the liquid part between the two bones, that is the synovial joint. So this structure, this particular structure of synovial joint, we'll learn about in another video. Today we'll learn about the different types of synovial joints specifically. Okay, so let's start. There are basically six types of synovial joints: ball and socket joints, hinge joints, pivot joints, saddle joints, plane joints, and condyloid joint. Okay, so let's begin with ball and socket joint. So ball and socket joint are such types of joint in which one bone has a shape of ball, okay, and another bone form a cavity or form a, you can say, cup-like depression in which the ball is articulated. Okay, so such type of joints we can see in the hip joint and in the shoulder joint. Let's discuss it with the help of example. Okay, so this is the socket formed by the clavicle and the shoulder joint. Okay, and the ball and the head of humerus is transformed into a ball-like structure. So this ball is articulated in this socket, ball and socket joint. Shoulder, it is present in the shoulder, so pectoral girdle. Okay, and second ball and socket joint we can get in the pelvis joint or in the hip joint, in which the glenoid or socket cavity, glenoid cavity, which is a socket-like created by the pelvis or the hip bone, and the head of the femur. This is the head of the femur. This head of the femur is articulated in this cavity. Okay, so one bone has a shape of ball, and another bone from the you can say socket. So this is the ball and socket joint. Okay. Okay. Now the second part is the hinge joint. Hinge joint permits movement in one plane or in one direction only. For example, when we perform the flexion and extension of our forearm, elbow joint is the example, ankle joint and knee joint are some examples of hinge joint. When we flex our arm, for example, when we move our arm towards our body, it is the flexion. And when we move our arm away from the body, it is the extension. So it may permit one movement only. So it is the hinge joint. Pivot joint allows for rotation only. It is formed by a central bony pivot which is surrounded by a bony ligamentous ring. Example, proximal and distal radio-ulnar joints and atlantoaxial joint. Proximal and distal radio-ulnar mean, proximal mean the upper part of the radius ulna, which are present in our forearm below the elbow. And distal radio-ulnar mean the lower part of the radio-ulna. The lower part of radio-ulna is articulated with the carpal bones, with our hand bones. and the upper part, the proximal part of radius and ulna are articulated by the humerus, the arm bone. So it is the example of pivot joint. Atlantoaxial joint are atlas and axis vertebrae, first and second neck vertebrae. So we can rotate our neck with the help of the pivot joint, as well as we can rotate our forearm in order to open jar. When we open jar, okay, when we perform the rotation movement, okay. So these are some examples of pivot joint: proximal and distal radioulnar joint and atlantoaxial joint. So over here we can see the rotation of neck, example of pivot joint. And when we open the jar of any container, so we rotate our limbs. When we rotate our hand, we rotate our arm, and as well as we rotate our neck. Saddle joint, named due to its resemblance to a saddle on a horseback. It is characterized by opposing articular surfaces with a reciprocal concave and convex shape. One surface has a shape of concave and another surface has a shape of convex. Let me annotate it. Okay. Concave. Okay, this is the shape of a concave. Okay, and over here, so you can say this is the convex shape. Okay, and this is the concave shape. So one bone has concave structure, concave face, and another bone has convex structure. Okay, so such type of joints are, we can see such type of joints are carpo metacarpal joints. Okay, now over here in the thumb joint, over here we can see this. These are the carpal bones of the thumb, and this is the metacarpal bone. So between the carpal and metacarpal, over here we can see this joint, saddle joint, and with the help of this saddle joint, we can perform the flexion and extension of our thumb. Okay, moving on. This is the saddle. This bone has the convex shape, and this bone has the concave shape. This bone has concave shape. This bone has convex shape. Okay, and it is like it is just like a saddle, okay, on the horseback. So we termed it as saddle joint. Plane joint are very you can say simple joint. The articular surfaces are relatively flat. Flat surfaces are articulated. Articulated mean they are joined. As well as we whenever we discuss the osteology, so we use the term articulation. Articulation mean the joints, allowing the bones to glide over one another. The examples are intercarpal joints, the bones of hand, and intertarsal joints, the bone of feet. The bones of feet and the bones of hand. So they join with the plane joint with the help of a plane joint. Condyloid joint contains a convex surface which articulates with a concave elliptical cavity. Just like this, in the previous joint, we have also discussed the convex concave shape. Over here, the condition is very similar. One bone has a surface of, has a structure of convex, and another bone has concave structure. So they joined in one another. They are also known as ellipsoid joint, example wrist joint, metacarpophalangeal joints. You can say metacarpo mean metacarpals. Metacarpals are the bones of hand with the finger joint. So hand bones joined with the finger joint with the help of condyloid joint. Metatarsophalangeal joints. Metatarsal are bones of feet. They joint with the toe bones. So it is also example of condyloid joint. We can see, okay, over here, this bone has, we are seeing over here the condyloid joint example. This bone has convex structure, convex shape, and this bone has concave shape, the depressed shape. So they joined with each other, and we can see the example metacarpal phalangeal joint. This is the metacarpal and this is the phalanx. So between these two bones, we can see the condyloid joint. Okay, metacarpophalangeal joint. Examples: metacarpophalangeal and metatarsophalangeal joints. So if you like the three parts, if you like the joint video which consists on three parts, please like, subscribe and share my channel. Leave a good comment and share with your friends and family. Don't forget to press the bell icon. Thank you so much. Allah Hafiz.